CM Punk has responded to calls for him to retire from wrestling, and Kenny Omega breaks his silence on rumors of him joining WWE. But first, a current AEW star is set to leave the company, as according to a report from Fightful Select, Vicky Guerrero is on her way out, this after the two parties agreed not to renew her contract, which is set to expire in July 2023. Vicky would make her AEW debut back in December 2019 in a cameo appearance as a guest commentator before becoming the manager of Nyla Rose in July 2020. She would later add a debuting Andrade El Idolo to her clientele in June 2021, a relationship that didn't last long. On top of her on-screen work, Vicky has played a big part in the AEW Heels project, as well as some other digital projects. AEW analyst and coach Mark Henry would speak on Busted Open Radio this week, where he would give his thoughts on the absent CM Punk, who hasn't been seen since the all-out backstage incident with the Elite in September and his prior injury on the show. Henry would emerge as another name on the roster who is pro-Punk, before adding what he feels he needs to do to calm tensions between the two sides of the fight, and Mark would say, "He's not a cancer, he's opinionated, but he's also a teacher and supporter. I've seen him do stuff he didn't have to do. He just did it because he loved the business and wanted to make that wrestler better. I think that he's good for pro wrestling. At the end of the day, he's good for business. He's good for education of those young wrestlers he took a liking to. CM Punk and the Elite gonna have to sit down together without Tony Khan, just them guys and not throw hands. I love all parties involved. I would love to mediate the situation, but keep the issue on the issue and not make it personal. Make it about wrestling, make it about the issue at hand and not the individual, then you can solve it." Henry would then discuss if a public apology is needed from CM Punk following his involvement in the lead up to the incident, and added, "If I was in charge, I would bring him back, and I would bring him back with him saying to the wrestling world, not an apology, but just state the facts. Grown men will disagree and things will be said that probably shouldn't have been said, and I regret airing my dirty laundry in front of the world. It won't happen again. Do we agree on everything? No. Can we work together and exist and have a business relationship? Yes. I will not let my personal feelings, my personal gripes and concerns interfere with business again, but ultimately, the important thing is business, and I am the business, and business is good. AEW is better with me around." And I'm a little late to the party with this next report, however I feel it's needed as it's something I forgot to mention in my last video. In a video last week, we discussed a tweet from Sean Ross Sapp, who noted that one WWE talent felt that Vince McMahon had returned to a role in creative. However, this appears not to be the case. Whilst this talent does believe this to be true, those Sean spoke to in a higher position ruled it out, with him later tweeting, "Sources within WWE that would be in a position to know tell Fightful Select that these fears are unfounded. We couldn't get any confirmations on those talents' fears, as noted in the original post. Triple H has been open that Vince has input and has been adamant to talent that Triple H has the final say." Now let's get to some headlines from last night's episode of Monday Night Raw, as a huge match has been confirmed for WrestleMania 39. Following a challenge made last week by Omos and his manager MVP for a match on the Big Show, Brock Lesnar would show up to give his answer, laying out MVP in the middle of the ring during the VIP lounge segment, with the match now made official. On top of this, Finn Balor would issue a challenge to Edge for a match at Mania, although no official response has been given at the time of recording. Elsewhere on Raw, the main event of the show would see Damage Control's Dakota Kai and Io Sky put their women's tag team titles on the line against Becky Lynch and WWE Hall of Fame Alita, a match that would see new champions crowned. The finish would see Bayley interfere to help her teammates, however this would lead to Trish Stratus making her WWE return to even the odds at ringside, this 1 week after her return plans were changed. This allowed Lita and Lynch to get the win with a level playing field, with the new champions likely set to enter WrestleMania with the belt. The title change follows a recent report from the Wrestling Observer newsletter that Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey will challenge for the Women's Tag Championships at Mania, with WWE seemingly set to begin a feud between the former UFC fighters and the new champions. And speaking of former UFC fighters, we have an update on the WWE status of Matt Riddle, who has been absent since the December 5th episode of Raw. Riddle would find himself suspended from the company after failing a drug test before being written off of television to serve his time, with him also being admitted into a rehabilitation program. Well, according to Dave Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer Radio, Riddle is now out of rehab, although WWE have decided to keep him off of the upcoming WrestleMania card, and he would note, He's been out of rehab for a long time. His suspension has been over for almost a month now, 4 weeks. It may be that they've just decided to not use him for Mania and not do anything with him, or maybe they just don't want to invest in him. I presume he'll be back, but when he left, they made a point of saying he was going to be gone for 6 weeks, and we're at about 11 or 12 weeks. Jake the Snake Roberts has been a part of the All Elite Wrestling roster since March 2020, later becoming the manager of Lance Archer, who he returned alongside this past Friday on AEW Rampage. Speaking with Wrestle Rant this week, the WWE Hall of Famer would discuss the problems that he sees with AEW's on-screen presentation and what he feels is a lack of character development, and he would note, "You know, everything they're doing now is rushed so much, they're not taking the time to develop characters. They've got a lot of great athletes going out there, flying through the air and doing inconceivable things to their bodies. At the end of the night, nothing sticks. What was that? What are they going to do next? It's because there is not a character involved, and I'd like to see them start working on their characters." Roberts would then reveal that he has a new role in the company to help with this problem, with his insight as one of the best talkers in wrestling history no doubt set to become a valuable asset to AEW, and Jake would add, "Of course they'll do that with interviews, that'll help a lot, and hopefully I'll be able to help some of those guys do better interviews. That's my new job in AEW, and hopefully I'll do a good job of it. But the product is still needed, it's still wanted, but it gets frustrating when you see the same mistakes going on and on. Sometimes I'm like, if I had some teeth to pull out, I would, but these are connected." And before we get to the rest of today's stories, be sure to subscribe to Wrestle Planet if you haven't done so already, as we aim to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And also head over to Wrestle Planet Gaming if you're into wrestling video games, ahead of the launch of both AEW Fight Forever and WWE 2K23. But with that said, let's get to the rest of the video. CM Punk would get the wrestling world talking again last night when he took to Instagram to react to some comments regarding his future in wrestling. One user would respond to a post about the aforementioned interview with Mark Henry, with the fan calling to keep CM Punk retired. Punk would then reply to the comment and simply wrote, "You liked your own comment, bold. I'll wrestle again just to upset you. You'll watch no matter where." Punk would also question one fan's use of his real name, seemingly as a way to insult him, whilst also referring to Kenny Omega by his gimmick name, and Punk would respond, "I don't understand the name thing. Like, he's Kenny and not Tyson, and I'm Philip, but not Punk. Is the intent to insult me by calling me my name? Just curious." And finally, CM Punk would then take to his Instagram story to post a very interesting image of the controversial Jim Cornette, who is often complimentary of the straight edge superstar and critical of the Elite, with him also tagging both members of FTR. Whilst many have since called for Cornette to lead Dax, Cash and Punk into battle against the Elite, this of course seems very unlikely, with all three men's AEW futures still up in the air, not to mention the complications that would come with bringing Jim into the fold. The contract of former AEW World Champion Kenny Omega is set to expire at some point this year, with it originally set to come to an end on February 1st. With that said, time has reportedly been added onto the deal in order to make up for time missed due to his recent injury break, with him potentially tied down for several more months. Naturally, when expiring contracts are discussed, so is possible movements from one company to another, and in Kenny's case, much has been speculated about the possibility of a jump to WWE in recent weeks. Well, according to a new report from Wade Keller on the PW Torch audio show, Omega is open-minded about the move, and he would note, "I haven't independently verified rumors of WWE being interested in Omega. I have confirmed they're aware of Omega's open-mindedness to come to WWE. That's what I've been told. That he's open-minded to landing in WWE before his career is over. The attitude is not, I love AEW, I'm gonna stay here forever. That is not apparently the belief within WWE. They don't believe that's Kenny's mindset at this point. Omega is valued within WWE from what I can ascertain by people whose opinions count, but he is not seen at this stage as a wrestler who is so good in the ring that they are just going to do anything to get him. I think that they are very happy with their roster. I think that they have a lot of great wrestlers who are on Kenny's level. Kenny would be a good addition." Kenny was asked about a potential move to WWE as well as his contract situation during an interview with Renee Paquette today, and whilst he didn't confirm or deny interest in the move, he would state that at this stage of his career, he wants to help develop the next generation. Omega would then add that he doesn't have goals or aspirations at this stage, before questioning if the latter mentality is him being ungrateful or even a waste of time. So make of that what you will. And before you go, make sure you check out 10 more upcoming wrestling free agents that you need to know.